Welcome. My name is Dharm, and welcome to another intuitive session seminar. And in this seminar, I want to share some of my favorite questions or processes I do to maintain a connection with intuition, with guides, with God, however you want to call it. As I've been developing this for over 20 years now, I'm a little bit slow. Now I'm able to discern guides, and sometimes I think I'm connecting to God, and I'm kind of trying to develop that relationship more and more, and it takes time. It takes time to develop it. So at first, as long as you're in your own emotion, in your true emotions, and you're asking for truth, you tend to attract pretty good answers. Or sometimes I'll agitate in my issue, like I really am upset about this, I really want to know what's going on, how do I work through it? Or even, I don't want the truth because then I'm going to have to do things I don't want to do. Just stay in the agitation. And then I'll just shut it down and go start doing stuff around the house. And somehow the process has been engaged and you're working on it. Or sometimes I do it late at night. I feel about some stuff. I ask questions or something, and then I feel as if I'm working on it all night long. I wake up many times in the middle of the night going, oh, I get it now, which is kind of cool. And I have a friend who visits people in their sleep state, so she can come see what you're actually doing in your sleep, which is different than dreams. And then she can then collaborate and say, I saw you working through this issue. And I'm thinking, that's what I was feeling about before I went to bed. And by the time I woke up, I figured something out. This is kind of cool. So there are many different ways of working through your issues. There's a set of questions that if I can ask them every day, can really help me grow fast. 4 questions. I like to ask, what addiction can I work on today? And then maybe we'll work through it together as a group if you want. What emotion can I be feeling through today? Sometimes you already have a feeling, an emotion that's ready to be processed. So by asking that, you know you're in that emotion and you can just process it. How can I stay connected to God or my guides today? And how can I be a loving teacher, friend, parent, child, person walking on the street? How can I be a loving something today? And I've discovered addictions that I did not even think categorized as addictions by asking this question. Because the answers are emotional, the answers are abstract, so it doesn't need to have a sentence that makes sense to you. And so I've discovered addictions I would have never imagined I had by asking that question. And staying connected, and every day I get a different answer, so you can grow very, very quickly by asking that question. They usually when I'm currently experimenting with staying emotionally honest. So if I'm engaging with a group of people or any person and they're kind of bugging me right now, like I'm feeling triggered, I'm feeling controlling, I'm feeling whatever, and I need to stay in my emotion. I need to say, oh, I feel this about this person right now. I need to stay truthful about my emotion. Then I usually like to pray, God, how are you loving this person right now? Because that way I can feel God's feeling about that person, which is different from my projection, and it helped me soften towards them. Or sometimes I will say, God, can you love them right now? Because I can only stay real in how irritated I'm feeling right now. And usually that brings out beautiful interaction for the person. Sometimes I ask, God, please help them feel truth. Please help them feel and get to know or hear truth in this conversation. So you have to do very little yourself in helping that person, but the person start receiving truth. these are some of the prayers, some of my shortcuts, so that I can stay present to my own emotions instead of engaging addictions. And I also like to ask for myself, how do you feel about me right now? God or guides? How are you loving me right now? Also some of the questions you can ask. Whether or not you want to receive the answer, because they are very emotional answers. And we can try asking other questions, and then maybe we'll come back to these sequence of 4 questions if you want. You know, when you start off your day with, what addiction am I working with right now? It's a good coffee right there. Like, woo. It's very helpful once you get to a certain point, but boy, do you really want to start your day with that? So let's warm up differently. Okay, so take a minute to ask, guide, God, intuition, what am I really feeling right now? Ask them. Don't guess for yourself. What am I really feeling right now? Some of you got answers? Anybody wants to share? Kathy, do you want to share what you got? No. There's only one Kathy on today. Can you unmute?
Yes, sorry. Today, just feeling quite exhausted, but just a sort of a deep sadness, just because there's time to really think. You're not filling your day with busyness.
Yeah.
Just a lot of regret about lost opportunities. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It makes me really,
yeah.
I feel really insecure and uncertain, and
okay.
Yeah, it's really tough.
Actually, those are probably a child's emotions. The adult is trying to figure out how and why it happened, but it's probably a child's emotion. A child's been having for a very long time.
Yeah.
A teenager or a young adult. So yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, the answer I got was different than what I thought I was feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of very insightful. The answer I got was, life as I know is over. I'll never be okay again. I will never be loved. It's like this devastation feeling inside of me. And I can feel it's a very, very young feeling. So that's makes me kind of curious, going, oh, what's that about? So, I mean, not really what's that about, but how can I be present to it? How can I be present to his feeling? Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you.
Jill, do you want to share what you got?
Sure. I have to apologize because I'm going through a lot of anger right at the moment. So, so when I tried to get into that anger, my guides said, no, you're actually scared. You're terrified. And when I'm like, no, I'm angry. And they're like, no, you're scared. And so the words that I got, or the image that I got, was how scared I am. I'm as scared as a lamb to slaughter, or that is going to slaughter. That's the level of,
Perfect.
yeah.
Yeah. And as soon as you get into fear, the anger is gone.
Yeah.
The anger is a technique you have to use to stay away from the fear. It's just how we felt. Yeah, that's okay. And of course, the fear is about something you've already gone through.
Yeah.
You've already experienced it. It's about an experience about the past. And you
Yeah.
start remembering it again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I recently touched on some previous fears from my childhood that that I don't want to feel. So that this makes sense.
Absolutely. Well done. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go into asking the question. Let's ask the question, because as we survive our childhoods and adulthood, of course, we have to create a lot of addictions in order to survive, which now we all have to kind of reverse and heal. But we also had to develop certain strengths and skills and gifts that we carry. We also had to develop those in ourselves. That if we could find what those are and connect to them and deliberately engage them, like let's go find what assets you already have inside of you that you may actually be taking for granted because you think everybody has it. What's the big deal? So if you can tap into that, then you can engage that more deliberately. Catherine, do you have a question or a comment? You look very, very insightful there. Curious to pick your brain. So let's ask the question. What gift or skill or strength do I have that I can tap into to live more in harmony with God's love and truth? What gift, skill, strength do I have that I can tap into to live more in harmony with God's law of love and truth? All right, what you guys got?
I'll talk if you want.
Sure.
Hi, Dunham. Sorry I'm late. I came right on at 10, and I thought that. So I felt like I was an interloper and intruding in the center of your. Hi everybody. It's lovely to see you all again, and I was struggling with this. But this morning, and I was at our dojo that only myself and other teacher can go to, my husband, because nobody can come there. And I was realizing that, that there's a lot of people that aren't training, or students. It's difficult for me to reach out to them, even though I'm doing lots of posts. So I was having kind of this vision. I was imagining how to take, and I have these words, like little poems that come into my head, and then I just record them. I was recording the altar and saying, the altar is in, we can't just practice here. The altar has to be in your heart. And so what was coming to me, and what is coming to me with, I'm doing some intuitive work with tarot as well, is that my imagination is becoming alive. I'm starting to feel more imaginative, as much imagination sometimes that I feel like that I had when I was a child, where I could take a story and take it to an end, like a dream, where a dream can take you in all sorts of into different realms, and you wouldn't even realize it, because the dream is because your subconscious connects to all sorts of different things. So I don't know how that makes it
your guides can
a skill or a talent.
Yeah, no, because your guides can give you impressions, they can give you information, they can give you emotions, They can even give you a solution that you will not be willing to see when you're in your intellect because of the blocks you have to it. It's like the opposite of what Amy has. Well, Amy is like, she feels like she's writing down knowledge and answers and things that are kind of practical and common sense, but that's how guides are talking to her. And for you, it's when you can unplug from that, then they can drop in impressions and feelings and answers. So that's really good. I think it makes sense. That's a good answer. So
Thank
go
you.
into that and have a vision journey on, I have a question, I have some conflict, I want to hear from my guides. I'm just going to go into my mind and start having little experiences and wander off here and there, and then pay attention to what's dropping in during those journeys, and then go, oh my God, that's the answer. That's the answer. I just got the answer. So
I like that. Pay attention to what's dropping in. I like that. Thank you. That connects with me. Thank you.
and Byron, what did you get?
So a strength that I have is the ability to be still and to find that still place.
Yes.
That and to have patience with that.
Yes.
Something I developed in my 20s when I learned to meditate.
Yes.
And something that's a strength, and also I've learned that it's also recently been the topic of my LOA is courage. I have the courage to step up and deal with my emotions once I've been still to find them. But also at the same time, the same courage can be the downfall in that I may rush through it or not really take the time to, So although I can have the courage to step into it, it could also be on the other side, a rushed job.
If stillness isn't first engaged, that's really good. And you've been getting that answer quite frequently.
Yeah.
Last week or 2 weeks ago, you got a similar answer.
Yeah.
Stillness. That's lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandy, what did you get?
I didn't feel like I got like answer or a particular emotion, but for some reason my attention just went to my hand, particularly like my right hand. And then it also went to then I felt my attention kind of go to my tongue. And then that's kind of where I was. It was like my right hand and my tongue, but I'm not necessarily quite sure like what that means. Yeah.
Okay. So then what you do is you expand on it. You're saying, can you say more? Can you give me more information on what is it about? My hand, is it the writing? Is it the journaling? My tongue, is that the speaking? Is that how I connect? That through journaling or when I'm doing something, when I'm cooking, when I'm dancing, is there something that I do with my hands that then gets me in the flow and now I can feel my guides? And tongue, is it through the experience of eating? Is it through speaking? Is it through singing? Is that what it means? So now ask them to expand on what that means, and then actually experiment using those sensual organs. Experimenting, okay, so if I take a color and start doodling, and then I start asking a question, does that then opens me up to receiving answers? Start experimenting.
It's very interesting that you mentioned like cooking and food, because that is it's really quite a passion of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, but also by the same token, when you mention the question of, what is your addiction?
Yeah.
For the longest time, I really have had this attachment to food and have used this mechanism, and over the years, just working on that relationship.
Okay.
And I'm kind of in a place now where I see it as a beautiful expression of like the divine. Which is beautiful, but at times, because the thoughts about like food and creating when I'm meditating are usually sometimes very strong.
Yes.
I wonder if is it also something that's distracting me from God? So how
No.
can I distinguish, or how can I use it more to bring me closer to God versus away?
No. No, I think you got a very clear answer, because you've already been asking, oh, is my passion for cooking and sensuality distracting me from God? And you just got an answer, no, that is the way. One of the ways in which you're already open, because you're passionate. You're passionate.
Yeah.
You have a desire, like right there, your soul is open. And so as you're cooking and experiencing food and being creative and playing, then bring in your questions and going, okay, guys, here's my question. How can you help me with this? What would you like me to do with that? While you're doing all those activities, and then see what starts to flow through. That's where you're already open. It's a channel you're already open in. That's what the guides did with Burn. They're like, here in this channel, you've already developed yourself. This is already open for you. Go enter that room and then we can talk. So good answers.
Thank you.
Yeah, but always expand. I always hear, that doesn't make sense. Say more, tell me more. How's this, how's that, how's this? And actually one of my soul's gift is that I ask questions. I'm always asking lots of questions. And that is a gift. And that is also one way that I connect to my intuition. And that's also one thing I enjoy about teaching workshop, because what I learn is it's about the questions. So I love coming up with questions. Every workshops we do, there are lists of questions they're waiting for us to play with. That's my playtime. Thank you. Anita, do you want to share? I'm curious with what you got.
Yeah, I got it's my love for nature.
Oh yeah.
And I love growing plants and gardening.
Yes.
Planting.
Okay. So definitely. So actually the question was, how can you engage, what can you engage in order to live in harmony with God? So that was a real question. Sorry.
Yeah, when I engage in that, I'm more connected to God.
Absolutely.
My guides. And
lean more into it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just got stuck because I'm afraid to know more.
Oh yeah. But then stay in that question. Stay in the conflict. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. You're going to tell me stuff I don't want to know. I'm not going to change. Just stay in the conflict. It's okay.
Yeah.
Then you're resolving the conflict.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just realized that the question I asked was, what activity can I engage, or what skill I have that keeps me in harmony with God? That is what we asked. Sorry, that wasn't about the guides. But ironically, or not, you will feel your guides because you're now in harmony. So in that place, if you bring your questions, you'll be able to receive answers. You'll be able to connect to them. Steph, what did you get?
Well, I got a series of more emotions, not actions.
Yeah.
And those were surprising all into themselves. You know, I was shown like humble, gentle, compassion, and love. And I'm like, okay, those aren't normal words. Like, I'm glad those are the words. Those aren't what I would used to associate. But
that's not who Steph thinks Steph is.
Right, exactly. And so I was like really kind of taken aback by that and excited. But then as the conversation I'm listening to is about action, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm as you were saying to Anita, I'm in the conflict about what those actions look like. And that's where I get to start experimenting and playing. And I guess I can only surmise my guides are saying stay humble and compassionate and be gentle to playing.
So here's the question I like to expand on. The question I like to expand is, give me an example of what it will look like if I'm being gentle. Give me an example of what it will look like. What activities have I done in the past or that I could be doing now where I'm being humble? What does that mean? Give me an example so I have a point of reference. You can actually ask, and then you start to feel these feelings and you go, wait, am I actually a really gentle person? Like, really? That would be a surprise to me, but oh, really? Could that be possible? So now you engage a journey. Nice. Could that possibly be? So basically, when you're in that part of your nature, you're in harmony with God, and then you're going, gentle. how do I get there? But give me
What
examples.
actions do I take to live that gentle life? That's
But first, you want to go for examples of how in the past have I been that? Give me example from the past when I have done that, when I was being gentle, when I was being humble, so that I can remember and have that point. It's like tagging an experience. You're like, oh, it's that process, is that point of reference, is that feeling. Now it's conscious again, and I can make that be, this is what I want.
mm-hmm.
You got to kind of have a point of reference. For me, I find I have to have a point of reference. I get an answer, and I go, well, what does it feel like? Can you invoke that feeling in me right now, so I know what it even feels like?
Mm-hmm.
What would it feel like if I were doing something through gentleness? I'm going to go make a cup of tea, and if I'm being gentle, what would that feel like? So you start engaging experiments. That's a lovely answer. My answer was also an emotion, and a pretty terrifying, well, not really, it showed me my kind of like one of my biggest passion of, the world has fallen apart. God, you have to show me the way. You have got to show me the way out. It's like this real strong, it's not even a request, it's an order, but it's a real strong engagement of my soul. Things are really, really, really bad. You have to show me the way out right now. So engaging that part of my soul keeps me in harmony, or help me start developing that as a child. Okay, and anyone that got an answer that they would like to clarify or expand on that was confusing? No? Okay. Catherine, do you feel like sharing what you got?
Sure. So I kind of had it in two parts. The first one was more, I guess, the skill that I have that helps me live more in harmony with God's law of love and truth is empathy. I have an ability to really emotionally relate to other people and actually feel what they're feeling quite often. So oftentimes I take that on.
Yeah.
And it's just like I absorb it. Yeah, Steph's smiling because she's like, yeah, you do. But I really feel that like one of my strengths of that place of empathy is that I can really help encourage people in their growth process and help them by relating to them on that level, and then kind of, like pulling them out, or like maybe interjecting something that they haven't seen it in that light. So that's one way I really feel connected to other people. And the other one, when Sandy was talking about her hands, another thing, and maybe I've just been told this before, is that I've got a really healing power through touch.
Okay.
That people really respond and are healed when I touch them. So that's something that when Sandy was talking, that kind of triggered as well. As like, yeah, that's another gift that helps me connect with others.
So it's like this. You got a little nugget of gold inside of you that's like, oh, here's this thing you have. And then you can say, okay, but I also have like lots of addictions. So it's probably coming out through my addictions. I'm probably going, oh, I got empathy, but then my addiction, I have an addiction to rescue people, which I'm challenging right now. Then I jump in and start rescuing people. So the gift is kind of getting twisted. So what you want to do is you can say, oh, yeah, I have a gift of empathy. Oh. So if I'm to continue developing this gift and somehow stay in harmony with God's laws, what would that look like? How can I continue to expand it non-addictively? Basically, how can I continue to use this gift without addictions? So then you start to go on a journey of, because the gifts we have, our early childhood environment hijacks our gifts for their addictions. So it gets pulled out of us. So for example, my strong desire to pray to God, well, my mom used it to have me pray for her situation, to improve her issues and her emotions and her life challenges. And in fact, in some cultures, or maybe all cultures, we have children so that they can solve all the problems. I have this and this issue, so now I'm going to have a child because then it's going to be the child's task to do it. So that also then ties into the rescuing. So the gift got hijacked into a wrong purpose, and it's now exhausted me, and I've sacrificed myself in ways that's really damaged me and my children that we're now recovering from, and on and on and on. So now I need to restore my gift of prayer, very passionate prayers, but in harmony with loss. What would that look like? So you're kind of recovering your gift, just like what Sandy said, you know, that she has a gift and passion for food and cooking, and yet it became a way to get her addiction. And all addictions, Sandy, are about suppressing fears, so that it end up being something that you use to suppress emotions, which is what addictions mean. And so now Sandy's purifying the gift again, back to her pure nature and to be in harmony. So you're not giving it up. You're not giving up cooking and eating, but how do you bring it back into alignment? So empathy, how can it be used in a way that nurtures both you and the other without engaging any addiction, is the journey to go on. So then you just expand on it. And touch also, it's like, well, where do I go from here? What a beautiful gift to have. And how do I stay in harmony with God's laws in the issue of touch, in the gift of touch? So when you get an answer, then you choose how to expand it. Because when we're in harmony with laws, life works. When we're not in harmony, it doesn't work. So everything is about, I'm not in harmony. How do I bring it back into harmony? How do I bring it back into harmony with the laws? Once you're done protesting that you shouldn't have to be in harmony to begin with. What's wrong with what I'm doing anyway? Okay, I lost the tantrums. Okay, really good answers. Very, very good. And shall we move on to the next question? I think we have time for one more question. So the next question I want to ask is, how can I engage my guides? All right. What you guys got? I'd love to hear from everyone if possible. I'm sure we all got. I got a pretty moving answer. It's gonna make me emotional. I may have to turn off the video and go have a cry. I can wait 10 minutes. Okay, so who wants to go first? What you guys got? Casey?
I had to laugh right away because I was reminded when I was a little kid, I used to just talk all the time. And so that's what they were giving me. I'm like, oh, I just need to engage that. And when I engage that, just sit and receive the answer. Because quite often I'm doing something and I'm like, oh, I'll go channel them later, or I'll go talk with them later, and I'm not actually engaging. And then I also got one more concrete thing in that is to sit and write the answers down.
Ah, okay.
Actively do something with it.
Yeah. Yeah, so because then you're actually receiving it, because you keep talking and talking and talking and nobody gets to put in a word back.
Yeah, so they're like, you're in the start of the process, but you have to finish it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will stop you and receive the answers. That's good. That's brilliant. And that will actually get you then asking another question to expand on that. And okay, that's a beautiful answer. Thank you. Okay, who else? I'd love to hear from everyone for this one. Steph?
It was around kind of the stopping of the blaming, demanding, the excuses for the pain, and getting real that I'm physically in pain. And there's a little bit of a tangent that I have to go into that. And then I got into questioning everything. So and then as Casey was talking, I was like, yeah, that was me as a kid. I was a little chatterbox all day long. And so that was great that Casey shared that first. It kind of filled in the gap.
So what you got there was to question, like, is this truth? What is the truth about this? Is that the kind of questions?
More along the lines of, where did this belief even come from?
Excellent.
What is this, a cultural norm that I just accepted blindly?
Perfect.
Like, is this even in me? Like, like that kind of element.
Okay, so write down those questions right now. That these are expanding question I'm going to ask about everything.
Well, this is recorded, so I'm going to definitely, like, I have to have that little bit of a rant first, and then I'm going to watch this again, and then I'm going to be able to really take this in.
Perfect.
I really just want to break down crying, so.
Okay, and anytime you guys need to do it, just turn off your video and audio and just have your moment. Thank you. Kathy, what did you get?
So yeah, that was very insightful for hearing Casey speak as well, because it brought me right back to where I needed to be, which is in my childhood, because that's the source of everything for where we are now, for me. So I realized that I was able to channel my guides when I was young. Like when I had that traumatic experience, I created an imaginary friend who lived under the house where I grew up, and his name was Mr. Egg.
Okay.
And he truly was a wise soul, and I even wrote about him, and I was like 7. And I thought, I can channel, I can go back into that power of intuition. Like, the intuition is there, and why am I ignoring it?
Okay.
So when I can do that, then I can be in a meditative state and I can get the answers. And I think for me, it's just understanding the question. I have to work on what is the real question.
Oh, yeah. That's so fun. What are the questions I can ask?
Yeah.
That's the question to ask. What question could I be asking? Because what you are receiving is determined by the question. That's the part in which your soul is opening.
Yeah.
Saying, I have a question. Now your soul is open and your soul is saying, I will receive. So that's permission for your guides to now answer. Well, what a beautiful answer. You got the answer from your guide saying, we already have a relationship. You and I, we've had this forever. We've done this before.
Very
Let's come back to that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else wants to go?
I can share. So when I asked the question, I felt the energy in the middle of my chest and in my spiritual heart.
Okay.
And it's very beautiful, actually, because I've been doing a lot of meditation. I'm just kind of here literally on, just in quarantine, just doing a lot of prayer and meditation, and it's been very beautiful. So to have that affirmation is really nice, to be like, just come back, always coming back to the heart, always coming back to the heart.
Okay.
So I had that for a couple of seconds, and then it was like, my mind was like, oh, so, and what are we having for lunch today? Maybe we should have this. And then immediately, because this also happens when I'm meditating, and my thing is always like, okay, come back to the heart, come back to the heart. So I did that. But sometimes it comes with a little bit of a sense of like judgment of like, come on, like, I'm just really working on this question. Let me, why am I thinking about food? But then also just based on what we talked about regarding, if I were to change my approach of thinking about food as a divine expression versus the sense of something that takes me away, I'm like, could that thought actually be telling me something? Could that be the answer to something, which is beautiful? But I just never considered it as that, so I never gave it the attention maybe that it need to know what it is trying to tell me.
So what's happening in that moment is that what's happening is emotionally you don't want to feel your heart right now. That's what's going on. And so what you want to do is you want to say, okay, I don't want to feel right now. Whatever is going to come up in my heart, I don't want to feel it. And that's why I'm going to go do something else. And of course, your guides are saying, go do the thing you're passionate about, because at least you're staying in your passion, and somehow your heart will open that way as well. But if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a whole series of videos about processing fear. Okay, it's a series of video I did back in, I think we all did in January, on processing fear. And start watching those, because then we talk a lot about, okay, you're trying to do something, you're stuck. Well, here's how you process it. I actually don't want to feel my heart right now, and there is a reason. And how do I work with that? So just go into those videos and then see where you go. And if you're interested about the addictions themselves, I have done a series of addictions videos, but they're not made public. They're by request. And those are also those people here were in those groups, lots of honest sharing and beautiful information about it. Thank you. Very good. Hartwell.
Well, what came up for me is singing, writing songs, and I often channel things when I write.
Right.
Yes. And it also said that I needed to perform some of them. So that was a little surprising. I'm not sure. It's like, but then starting to ask specific questions and differentiate the flavor of the answers. Like the sense was that I have more than one guide, and that the flavor of the answers might be different from different guides. So it's time to start differentiating between sources or different flavors of information as they come into me. And then I think it's just helpful for me to talk about to other people, like people here on this group and yourself and some of the other people in my life, and say, oh, my guide said this, my guide said that, just make it a real thing, make it normal, make it normalized. And that's the message I got too, so that it doesn't seem like something fringy or weird, but that we're also acknowledging our connection, not just to the people. I mean, I acknowledge the connection that I have to others, and it's like, oh my God, Dudham, what you just said there, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So in a sense, you were a guide to me.
Right.
So, I mean, the guides that are non-physical, perhaps we can do that too.
Yeah. Oh my God, I adore them. I love them. I think they're amazing. I ask God to promote them all the time. Like, give them extra promotion. They're so good. That's how I started engaging them. Just such express how moved I am that there are people that stays around me all the time and have such care for me. Like I don't feel worthy. So it's just blows my mind. So I started engaging with, what is that even like? And I did that for over a year, cried about how much I don't know who they are and what it must feel like, and what a profound thing for someone to do for me. And then I attracted the gift of knowing what their names are. And now I can actually write down their names. And then, so I have like 5 names on a piece of paper, and I go, what do you feel about this? What do you feel about? So I'm getting everyone's answers and everyone's perspective, just like you suggested. But Hartwell, what you just said there, you write songs? What? I didn't know that.
Well, they're kind of
I want to hear them.
Well, you be careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
I mean, poems. Some of them are poems that come to me without a tune. Some of them come to me with little tunes.
Well,
They're kind of very They're very kind of mantra-ish often.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I wrote about a 2.5-page story/poem. It wasn't a song, and it's like, and then the last, I didn't know how to end it. It's like it just flowed and flowed and flowed, and then I couldn't get the ending hasn't come to me yet.
But look at Byrne's poem that she shared with us 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was great.
Wow.
Where is she?
felt
Thank
that.
you for sharing that, Bern.
I'm feeling other people also kind of going, yeah, I want to hear it. I want to hear it. Oh yeah, okay. So we got an audience right here. That's an interest. Hey,
Okay.
you tell me everything. Now I've never known you can write songs. It's like, oh, I'm very curious. Or that you like writing songs. And
I like to sing, and sometimes my poems come out with a tune. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's beautiful. So that's how they can connect to you and oh, beautiful answers. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Jill, what did you get?
I've been getting lots actually since everybody has been kind of talking, but like asking questions all the time, engagement, to not only to talk to them, but to play with them. I have a tendency to talk to myself, which actually I have learned is I'm talking to either them or I'm talking to my children, either one of the two. So it's a lot about that engagement. It's a lot about going back to being a kid. You know, like having that, and then it's like learning from the environment, and that they'll teach me through teach me through that environment, whether it be, you know, digging in the dirt or learning about my environment, I guess, to look at this one. But yeah, like down to the point of, you know, looking at a ladybug and talking to the ladybug like we did when we were kids, right? So that level of engagement.
Imagine that that's the new normal we all wake up to 3 months from now. We're talking about guides all the time, engaging who we really are, and always chit-chatting away, being like little kids. Wow. And of course, parents who are trapped with their children can actually watch what it's like to be little kids. So that's a beautiful answer. Thank you. Noreen, what did you get?
Actually, I spent the whole time just asking the question. I was going, nothing's coming, nothing. I got nothing. But then when Stephanie started talking, and then Kathy started talking, and everybody that started talking, I was going, oh yeah, all that too. Talked all the time when I was young. Had an imaginary friend, but she was beside me because I played with her because I was a loner. So some of the times, and Darren, when you were talking about singing, so you know, it's funny, I've heard Darren sing, and Darren has a great voice, but you don't want to hear it all the time. Sorry, Darren. Hartwell. You know, I gotta say something about that.
Stick to balls.
Hartwell used to say, but anyway, he's lovely. He's lovely. Listen to his songs. But the same way, Hartwell, when you had said that, I was going, I can remember before puberty, I would sing these songs that just came into my head, and my sister would walk in the room and she'd go, where'd you hear that song? Where'd you hear that song? And it would just be flowing into me, and the tune and all that, Hartwell, how you were saying, you know, the tune comes to you. That kind of happened before, I think before puberty. And so all of those things, I guess that it's like they all kind of happened in childhood, and what you're all triggering me to recognize that it's like those things were probably at some point just had to slowly be shut down. Those guides had slowly be shut down, so to be able to live whatever way that the society or the people around me, so that you could remain safe or strong or whatever. And so I really appreciate everybody who's spoken has triggered me going, oh yeah, oh okay, because that part is really quiet now. So anyway, so I'm writing them all down going, yeah. So thank you everybody for doing that. Because there was nothing there before. And so now that's awakened us. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you. Anita, do you want to share?
Yeah, how can I engage my guides to be in my passion? Then I feel joy and they can connect to me more easily. And then it came to me, I'm afraid to know more. I don't want to know anything else. Mm-hmm. But then when you were talking, like how you were feeling grateful about your guides, and that got me, because I got really sad, because I feel like my guides don't want to be with me. Like they probably, God has been forced them to be with me. Or,
Time out, go back to Earth and stick around this person. Use your penalty. That's what we like. Man, lots of good movies made on that team too, right? It's your penalty. Go help this person on Earth.
So that gave me an opening. That gave me an opening, so I can go into that, because I have a lot of grief.
Absolutely.
Somebody wants to be with me.
You can you can ask them, how does it feel like to you to be my guide? Box of tissue and ask the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey, did you get something? Oh, you did already. Sorry. Yes. Grace, did you get?
My head is spinning right now. I had a lot of pennies drop in this. So what was the question again? I need to focus.
How can I engage my guides?
Okay. The short answer is I have to start looking at people again. I have to open my eyes. It does. There's a lot. Okay. Wow. Basically, what it was is like one of my gifts is in being able to see people in their pain without judgment.
Oh yeah. Very good at that. Yeah.
And you've always talked about Dharm, about how, like, according to my chart, I should be this very intuitive, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't know what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. But I get it, because I think what happened very early on is I could see people in their pain, but God forbid you point that out to them. And that's what I do in my questioning and my curiosity.
Yes.
And so there was a lot of rage coming at me from very, very early on, from people who didn't want it exposed. Even though my intention was just from wanting to know them better. So that got shut down pretty badly, pretty early. So my guides are asking me to basically open my eyes to people again, which is really scary because it was really bad. But that's how I can engage them, and that's how I can engage with other people. But I'm really scared.
Okay. It's like, it's time for Grace to be Grace again. That's real Grace. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay, that's a beautiful answer. I was also shown in the first question how I have deliberately hidden my true self from my childhood environment. I've actually taken my real self and hidden her. I'm hiding. And so the answers I'm getting are about bringing her back out. So kind of interesting. Yeah, that's beautiful. And the answer I got for myself was that they showed me how excited I get about my questions, and they love my excitement about the question. And they get excited about the question as well. And they said something I feel profound. They say to treat them like long lost brothers and sisters I didn't know I had. So how would I be treating somebody? You know how we nowadays we read about gene, all these people doing all this DNA research, and next thing you know, it turns out that the dad had another family and they have all these long lost brothers and sisters, and oh my God, and the richness, and it's like, oh, that is what our guides are. The brothers and sisters we didn't know we had, that we lost, and now we found them. But they are the one more excited about finding us than we are about finding them. So they're so excited that we found you. Or rather, when I think about it that way, I allow their excitement. I can allow how passionate they are, and that they keep telling me, take your time. We have time. We want to hear what you're thinking. We want to hear what you're feeling. And I'm just realizing today while I'm teaching that as a child, I was told to hurry up and talk fast and get it out. So I rushed through my thoughts. I rushed through my speaking. I used to stutter as a child. And that I'm even feeling, even in this workshop today, that I'm rushing my words. And it's like, take your time. We have time. Take your time with the answer. Take your time with your thoughts, with the explanation. So our guides are our long lost brothers and sisters we didn't know we had. And they're cool, and they're one with God. Hopefully, if you desire to know God, then you get celestial spirits, and they're all sparkly, and you know, they're well connected. So that really helps open me up in a certain way. Yeah. Okay. No, who else? We haven't heard from Catherine. Do we hear from you, Catherine? About this answer?
Not on this one. I guess like I took the question very literally at first. It's like, how do I engage? Because I do that all the time. I intellectualize things.
That's beautiful. Okay.
So I was like, I have to more so come at it of a place, like from a place of humility, of kind of saying, I am asking the question, like I recognize that they're higher versions of myself and they are here to help me. And they have insight that they want to share, but I have to be open to it. So it's like acknowledging them and asking for their help rather than just like, you know, storming in and being like, give me an answer. It's just like, okay, I have to come at it from a place of openness and humility. And where I find I do that, a lot of people are talking about in childhood being a chatterbox. My mom always called me Chatty Cathy, and they don't need to hear you in Mexico because I'm the world's loudest human. So I'm very loud. But like the place I really connect a lot with my guides is in nature. Anytime, that's why I keep looking outside. Anytime I'm outside, I am more open to connecting. Being in the mountains, anytime I'm outside, being indoors feels like I have a mental block. Like there's always, the walls are very physical and metaphysical for me. So I need to be outside in the open. That's where I connect the best.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Who haven't I heard from? I can't keep an eye on. I haven't heard anything from Amy, so Amy's busy in Amy's wiki. Has everyone shared? Byrne, have I heard from you? No.
Okay, so I really learned something from Catherine. I was out, I traveled up to Hell's Gate yesterday and took a hike, and I just reveled. I woke up this morning in joy and my body wasn't aching. And I just realized that it's true for me too when I'm outside, and yet I spend a lot of time inside. So that's a real eye-opener for me. Thank you for sharing that. But for me also, it's when I'm connected to, it feels like when I'm connected to the earth and sky all at once through, like almost like a divining rod. I don't know what else to call it. Like I'm connected through my body. I'm aware of my body, and that's where I feel like I'm plugged in.
Okay. Wow.
And where I recognize that from is giving birth.
Okay.
I really I really recognized that there were a lot of guides in the room.
Yeah.
There was a yoga teacher that was there, that was at the time was my yoga teacher. There were people there that and so I've often asked myself why at that time my mind was very slow. I was very relaxed. I was very connected. I was doing something that I felt extremely higher purpose about. So that's, to me, and also when I was a kid, I used to look up at the ceiling and answers and gifts would just come down toward me. Yeah, so being playful.
It is so lovely that today we're realizing that we have connected to our guides. We already have an established relationship from our childhood. It was a common, normal experience, and we just have to go back to what we already have. How cool is that? That's delightful. And it's a delightful relationship to cultivate. So we received a lot of beautiful answers today. And hopefully you can spend the rest of today kind of reflecting. And the way to keep engaging is keep asking more questions. Keep asking for clarification. Keep asking for, how can I do this more? Why am I blocked to this? What's it feel like when I'm doing something the right way? Give me the feeling, so that you can tag. I call it tagging the experience. What I'm trying to do in the workshop is that if you can have the experience, now you can tag it and you can come back. It's that feeling. Now I know what it feels like. And I feel like that's the only way I can teach intuition, is by creating experiences. Is the experience you can go back to for yourself. And your guides today showed you how you've all had experiences before. They also took you back to, this is the stuff we already have, and just awaken that again. The conduit already exists. Thank you. This has been profound. Yeah. All right. So we shall see what Wednesday will bring. Every workshop, and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to take me weeks to work this out. And then we go to the next, we go to the next. But I find that I'm beginning to find that there's some beautiful growth happening for me personally right now that I'm very grateful for. Like constantly, I'm like doing channeling probably 4 or 5 times a week right now. Always go, go, go. So something's waking up for all of us. Well, have a lovely couple of days. Hopefully I'll see some of you Wednesday and the rest of you next weekend. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dharm.
Yeah, thank you, Dharm. Take care, everyone.